All right, it's time to dive into something very special here, Alex. We're gonna go into the top 5 games of Alex Noons of all time.
Oh my!
This is a big one because you played a lot of games. You have played
you
played a lot of games. A lot of games.
Yeah.
I guess what was your first system? What was your first
ever game?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise! Was Alex Kidd in Miracle World?
Was it really
pre-installed on the Sega Master System? My brother's console. I played it. Well, I say I played it. I mean, I played it when I was 2 years old because my brother had the console. Like, he would just let me sit there and press some buttons. I was obviously rubbish at 2, but that's principally when it started. Yeah. And obviously being a kid, I was like, he's got the same name as me. This game's great. So that's where it all started.
The name association hooked you. I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I wish my name was Sonic.
Oh,
there must be a child out there called Sonic somewhere, inspired by the character.
But imagine if they were, and then they saw the Sonic movie, and they're like, oh, no, my name's not Sonic anymore.
Yeah.
My name's S. Yeah,
but then they suddenly see the remastered Sonic and go, oh, okay, maybe maybe better than it was. It was bad. True. It was tragic for a while. But top 5 games of all time, it's tricky. I mean, 5 games of all the ones you played is a hard one.
This is hard.
But let's kick off. You can do them in order, or you can do them here, there, and everywhere. Kick me up with the first one. Top 5 games. AREKKZ, what's the first one?
So this is always hard, right? Because it's funny, over Christmas I was going to do this because there was like the typical kind of like tweet that goes out and someone would be like, oh, what's your top 5 games of the decade, right? And I have this draft tweet saved because I had 3 written, but I couldn't decide my last 2, so I still never posted it. And I always have to kind of like tailor this list as well because I'm a huge Zelda fan. Zelda is my number 1 franchise above all else.
As a Nintendo guy, I get that.
Exactly, right? But the thing is, if I don't filter it, a lot of the time my top 5 is just full of Zelda games.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm going to limit myself to pick just one in this, but I might kind of honorably mention. So I have to talk about Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time is, for me, where it started with Zelda. So obviously I had the Sega Master System as my first game, first system and stuff, and then my brother kept on buying like Nintendo systems after that. So my first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time, and then I've since gone back and played every single one now. So like, I love that series. There's nothing.
Nothing really comes. I mean, things do come close, but I think for me it was A Link to the Past. But Ocarina of Time, it was on the N64.
Yes,
Ocarina, still now, it is every time someone, I guess someone streams it on Twitch, whatever it might be. Tons of hundreds of viewers because they just love the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it did so much for gaming as well. Like, it's one of those games that like with the whole because around that time, that was with the N64 was one of the sort of systems that brought a lot of the kind of like 3D titles in. Anyway, I'm pretty certain, someone may correct me, but I'm pretty certain that Zelda Ocarina of Time was the first game that introduced the kind of the lock-on mechanism for like in combat when you're in the 3D camera. I think that's the one that introduced it. So obviously it did a lot of stuff for gaming in the same way that Super Mario 64 did as well. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was fantastic because obviously it had the childhood to adult transition, like all the dungeons. Because I really like I've always liked exploring adventure games, things like that. I've been more into kind of those kind of games than I have like competitive games. But I always like the idea that like Zelda games, you have the combat sections, you have the exploration sections, and also in the dungeons you get puzzles. Like I always felt like I was getting loads out of the game. So I had all of that, obviously, and also. Like, I'm someone that likes to like customize my characters. And although you couldn't customize Link, you could get different tunics. So in a very early stage, I was like, towards the end of the game, I don't need to worry about. I'm going to wear the red tunic with the mirror shield and have the big Goron sword because I can.
Yeah.
So that was a fantastic game. But obviously, what then happened was every single Zelda game after that, I would always compare to Ocarina of Time. I'd be like, is it better? There'd be games that come out like Twilight Princess, fantastic game. But I was like, well, it still doesn't have X, Y, and Z from Ocarina, so it's not quite as good in my eyes. The closest that came to that was fast forward to Switch was Breath of the Wild, which is now my kind of second favorite Zelda game of all time. Like Breath of the Wild is a fantastic game, and it was so close to me for beating Ocarina. There's a few things that I feel that needs to be done, and I'm hopeful that when they do Breath of the Wild 2.
Which has been slated for was it 2021?
They haven't slated a date yet, but I reckon, given that it's built in the same engine, I reckon we could see it this year. We'll definitely see it E3 this year. I reckon we could see it either released end of this year or early next year.
So you and I go to the Nintendo Switch launch event here in at the Apollo, right?
Yeah.
I remember that because I remember that was the only game that we were allowed to capture was Breath of the Wild. Like all the other games, when the Switch came out, like there was like I guess like a handful of games that came with it, like ARMS and these kind of really weird things. Yeah. But I remember Breath of the Wild was there, and it was the only one you were allowed to take any footage away from because I guess you couldn't really go further than. No, I guess
it was like a little.
It was quite linear the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. It was, and it was. I felt the same way. It was just the expanse of it, like the size of it. It felt it felt so epic.
The thing I liked about Breath of the Wild was like there's so many games that when you think about when you play games as a kid, you have this crazy sense of wonderment. Like you're exploring this world, and like everything is just like you're a kid in a sweet store, right? Mm-hmm. Now to a degree, when we play things like I still get that kind of enjoyment, but I enjoy games in a slightly different way. You know, like now obviously from a content point of view, I blitz through games a lot more, so I feel like I still enjoy games, but I feel like I appreciate them in a different way. And Breath of the Wild is the first game in a very long time that I felt like I was back being a kid playing through it. Like, because for that one, like a lot of the time I have to juggle doing work at the same time. But Zelda, we have this kind of agreement on the channel. Like, if there's like a marquee series for you, so for 2.6, that's like Kojima games, so Metal Gear Solid, Death Stranding. So when that came out, like he was like, no streams for this week. I'm just playing Death Stranding, and for me that's Zelda. So when Breath of the Wild came out, I took a week off. Purely played it. Luckily, I got it before it came out because Nintendo sent it to me early, so I was able to kind of play it without worrying of spoilers and stuff. I played it through, and for that week, like I didn't have to worry about content. I just purely played it, and it kind of brought back those like childhood feelings. Like everything was because of the open nature of it. Like I'd just go wandering off in a direction because there wasn't a timeline, because I wasn't trying to make content for it. I was like, I can go and wander and try and climb that mountain for like ages, and then suddenly walk on the other side. There's a line, and I'm like, and I had all these crazy experiences. Like when there was the dragons flying through the sky, I was walking across the Bridge of Eldin. And one of the dragons was flying through the sky. I was like, what is that? And like, bear in mind, the game wasn't out yet. There's no like guides online to be able to like find out what it is. It was just me. I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm taking a photo. I'm like, I'm gonna try and remember this. So look, I had all those memories, and I'm definitely super excited for like the next one, because I think like if you can take the more kind of traditional dungeon structure of like Ocarina of Time, put like a slightly more cohesive story in it, have like more like music was one of the things I feel Breath of the Wild was lacking a little bit on. It didn't have as many like iconic tunes. If you could take some of that like traditional Zelda DNA and work that into like the open world Breath of the Wild framework, I think we'll generally have the best Zelda game we've ever had.
Okay, so let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zelda Ocarina of Time is on the top 5. That's the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 to go. What else?
All right. Oh yeah. So Monster Hunter, second favorite series of all time.
Okay.
I think for this one, I'm going to have to choose Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Okay. So that was on 3DS. So I've been playing Monster Hunter since Freedom Second on PSP. So fantastic series. Again, it kind of does everything that I love in gaming. Like it's, you fight big ass monsters.
It does what you say. It says on the tin. Basically,
exactly.
you play a person basically going out into the wild, trying to find rare monsters to.
And you hunt them, and then you make armor and weapons out of them. And the cool flow is that you're like, okay, cool, I killed this monster, got an awesome armor set, let's do it again, and you just keep going, right? Yeah. But then 4 Ultimate was obviously the version on 3DS, but it had so much in that game. It had so many different monsters. It obviously 4 Ultimate, well, technically speaking 4, which was like the one that only released in Japan, and we got 4 Ultimate. But 4 introduced 2 new weapons with like Charge Blade and Insect Glaive, one of my favorite ones. And then it also had like a ton of great endgame content and stuff. So I feel like as a whole, while Monster Hunter World has done far more for the franchise as a whole, because it's brought it into the West, it's really like, because for a long time Monster Hunter was like a niche title, I'd say, and people were like, what is that game? Whereas now people know what Monster Hunter is.
Totally.
So World is like 100% for the series, far more important. But I feel like when I think about my memories, I think 4 Ultimate is probably my favorite.
Okay. So you've got Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
Yeah.
Okay. What else is there? The three to go. What else?
So Donkey Kong 64.
Okay, interesting choice there. Because I would have said Donkey Kong Country personally, because I'm a SNES aficionado, my friend. Right, I love that game. But Donkey Kong 64, okay.
Yeah, so I say that one because Mario 64 was obviously the one that played first.
Yeah.
Right? And that is, again, that is one of the ones that like has done tons for like the gaming industry. Obviously.
Timeless.
Yeah, right? But the thing is, right, at the time, so I played Mario 64, loved it to bits, played it so many different times, enjoyed that so much. But then when Donkey Kong 64 came out afterwards, to me, in my childhood state, obviously, like now I can, appreciate it from different points of view, but like back then when I was a kid, I was like, it's basically Mario 64 with monkeys, and monkeys are my favorite animal.
Hey.
So I was like, it's basically exactly what I had before, but better.
This is my dream game.
Yeah.
This is my dream game. Okay.
Exactly. Now, not to say, because I mean, some people might listen to this and be like, how can you say it's better than Mario? I'm not saying it's better than Mario 64. But I was saying, when I was a kid, in my mind, I'm like, it's just Mario 64 with monkeys and different playable characters.
In the moment, it was perfect.
Exactly.
In the moment, it was perfect.
It had the DK rap. It had, you could play as Lanky Kong and walk on your arms. It was great. I mean, the fact that it had different characters as well. Like, you go through, one of the fantastic things is that you start off as obviously as DK, but you go through and you rescue different characters and you can play as different people. So instead of Mario 64 just playing as Mario, you got all these different people. So that, I mean, it was great. And then like each of the characters had their own unique play style. So I've always loved platformers. I've always loved like 3D platformers. So that
Perfect fit.
100%.
So were those the 3 ones that were on your tweet that you kind of had?
They were on the ones that,
Okay. So the question is, are there going to be another 2 that you can slip into this top 5 and feel okay about saying so?
So I feel like, I definitely feel like I should say Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Okay.
Right? So Smash Bros. As a whole 100% belongs there, right? I have loved fighting it, and I hesitated for a second because like I haven't played Smash Bros. Ultimate as much as say like 2.6 has, right? And like I love the series, but like it's fighting games for me have always been special, right? Back when I was at school, I used to play fighting games all the time. It was like my favorite genre. But back when you were at school, this was before like online gaming. You always think you're good at fighting games, right? Because when you're only playing your friends and you beat your friends, you're like, well, I'm pretty
best.
good. Yeah,
I'm the boss.
And then online comes and you're like, oh, I'm not very good.
I suck.
Yeah,
badly.
Exactly that, right? So that kind of happened because like back in the day, I used to play, Bloody Raw, Soul Calibur, Smash Brothers, like Street Fighter, anything like that. We just we go around to each other's houses after school. We play those games. It was great. And then fast forward to like when it was like university, I played like Street Fighter like online and stuff, and then started to realize that I wasn't as good, and then like I didn't like play them as much afterwards. But I've always still like fighting games are one of those things where like, my friends will always joke about it because I would probably say I'm average at fighting games, right? I can you can
hold your own.
Yeah, I can hold my own, but I'm definitely not like I've got some friends that are actually much more competent. That I can actually like I'll go in and I'll know how to use my character, but they're really good with like the mind games and fighting games. They'll actually be able to be like, okay, I can predict what you're going to do. Apparently, I'm quite a predictable person when it comes to like fighting games. They'll be like, I know you're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, so
yeah.
But they've always like held been like an important genre to me. And Smash Brothers is like taking a lot of your favorite series, putting them into this series, and be like, oh, you can like in no other game can you be like, oh, Link versus Cloud. Like,
yeah,
I want to. I mean, I've always, as a Zelda fan, I was jokingly like, I don't actually, but I always jokingly hate on Final Fantasy because it's the rivalry, right? I'm like, oh yeah, Link will beat Cloud, yeah, whatever. So like, you can actually have that, and I think Ultimate is basically the best version. I mean, it's got the most characters, it's got like, a ton of great stuff, and some people might argue that like, oh no, Melee's the best one. For me, Ultimate is a fantastic game. Yeah, absolutely love it, and I feel like it belongs in some of the best games.
Oh yeah, I remember when it first came out, and I remember so many friends of mine who play it.
Yeah,
were just sat there entranced to try to unlock I think there's like 140 unlockable characters, something insane.
Crazy,
but
yeah.
I guess for you, as you said, like a Nintendo fan as you are, every single character, be it Samus Aran or whoever it might be, is squashed into the same game.
Exactly,
it's perfect. It can be anyone. Okay, so Smash Brothers Ultimate. We've got to go across the first 4. Yeah, so you've got different genres and different. What's going to be the 5th? There's got to be one more that's going to enter in this top 5. Which
it's hard, right? See, like I
love you're setting it up. Just so everyone knows. Okay, let me just.
You know why I hate doing these lists, right? Because you write the list or you verbalize the list. And then as soon as you're walking home, like after we finish this recording, I'm going to be walking back to the station and be like, why did I not mention this game?
How can I not say that?
Yeah. So it's so difficult. But I feel like I want to sort of spread across different genres. And I feel like something we've been playing recently has actually kind of like brought back those memories. But I kind of want to say Red Alert 3, right? Okay. Because I love RTSs as well, right? And but I feel like RTSs as a genre is something that doesn't get as much attention these days. Like there've been a few indie RTSs recently, but they haven't quite held a candle to how they used to be. Like it used to be Command & Conquer, it used to be Red Alert, it used to be things like Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth, and they are some of the best gaming experiences. I used to play StarCraft as well, although I realized that very early on that StarCraft is terrible.
Complex.
Yeah, I mean, things like I go into it like, oh yeah, I know Red Alert, it can't be that bad, and then suddenly I go online and like literally in the first 10 seconds someone's in my base and I'm like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, I am. None of this.